Welcome.
Welcome to Impact Wrestling.
We got something. I don't know what the title is going to be. No, better yet, something happened finally. I think that might be the title, I think. Something happened finally at the end of the show that is important. Good. Now, I want to make this very clear. No show is ever perfect, but this show was fun. I don't need to say anything else other than that when it comes to production. It was fun. You could see what was going on. Sound was okay. There you go. Now you know that part. Fatal 4-Way with nothing connected to it, which makes no sense. Why wasn't it a Fatal 4-Way for the X Division title? Why wasn't it a Fatal 4-Way for something? It didn't lead to the Digital Media Championship. It didn't lead to the X Division Championship, which might actually been good, but it didn't. Black Taurus versus Trey versus Rey Horace versus a Dorado Kid. Generally all the guys we know except for Rey Horace. He's new. Don't know how long he's going to be there, but here you go. Was it a good match? Yes. And you know who was going to win. You know who was going to win. Particularly that someone you rarely see on commentary. I might put images, I don't know yet, but if I am, it's in my face. It's Crazy Steve on commentary. Now, this is where it's interesting, where most people already know, but just in case you don't. Now, I didn't know until someone told me that's in my comments, so I thank you, the person that did. When it comes to Crazy Steve, he's partially deaf, or he's not completely deaf. He's partially deaf. He doesn't hear very well, but he was on commentary, and he sounded pretty interesting.
I am Crazy Steve, and we love the Hive.
Sorry if that was annoying. Sorry. But he was actually interesting on commentary. Not saying he could be a good commentator, but it was nice to see a little change up of seeing Crazy Steve on commentary. In the end, Black Taurus won. What does this mean? Nothing. It doesn't lead, as I said, to the X Division. It doesn't lead to the world title. It doesn't lead to the tag titles. Hell, it doesn't even lead to the Digital Media Championship, where we saw later when it came to, well, I knew that it wasn't going to be over with Gunja versus a Brian Myers. I didn't expect it to be over. He was pissed off. I believe I got a shot. I may throw it in there too. That he was just pissed that he got screwed over by Brian Myers. He hated that. And he said it's not over. So it's not over. But in the end, it is over, because what do we really get with the Digital Media Championship? Wouldn't it have been good to have the Fatal 4-Way? I'm just saying. Now, Kenny King versus the Heath. Now, after so many weeks of the Heath nailing everybody, including Kenny King twice, he wants to get his hands on a little bit of the Heath, of the redheaded rebel. And I know there's a lot of black people out there.
I know there's some stupid ass black people that getting pissed off at him being called the red-headed rebel.
Guys, stop it. I'm not trying to stir the pot, but come on. That was over 200 years ago. Stop. It's just a name. He is not racist just because he's red-headed and white. I didn't need to say that, but I have seen a couple of people on a few posts that have an attitude about hearing him called the red-headed rebel. Call him I just don't know why. It's not necessary. Anyway, he won the match. And pretty much he got his ass pounded afterward by the team known as Honor No More. At least until Eddie Edwards is telling PCO to destroy him. And then he nails another person again. And I believe it was Mike Bennett. And he's mad as hell after that. So now they're bringing up again PCO, where they should have done this months ago with PCO. Wouldn't it have been nice to see PCO turn away at Slammiversary? Guys, if it's not going to be Bound for Glory, which is in October, where are we now? August, September, October. Wouldn't it have been nice to see PCO turn at Slammiversary? I think that would have been good. And then they could build a story around him, culminating in maybe going up against Vincent. Having a story of his original handler having to be the one he's got to face at I just booked something for Impact Wrestling. If Vincent is still there, you want to make a bet that everyone's going to stay until Bound for Glory and then they're gonna be gone. And if that's going like that, why didn't they break off PCO and Vincent, have Vincent angry at PCO, and then culminate their feud at Bound for Glory, that the original handler of PCO is now having to face Perfect Creation 1? What? Why do I have to?
Why do I have to book it?
Why do I have to book it? I'm a nobody. I'm a nobody. A devilishly ugly nobody, but I'm an ugly nobody as it is. You get my point. Let's move on. Now, we did get Time Machine. Really? Instead of letting Alex Shelley win, he goes right back with Sabin and Kushida, which is fine. But now you got the Time Splitters and you have the Motor City Machine Guns. One of them has been on both. So when he's the one who speaks for them, he says, I see this as the most untapped talent. I worked with this guy who is the future for 10 straight years in the Time Splitter. Then there's this one. I worked with him and we set the standard for everyone that came after us. So now we are known as a Time Machine and we're coming after the Violence by Design. No video packages from Violence by Design as far as I saw. None. So we didn't get anything from them. But it's going to be a question about Diener. I'm sorry. If everybody want to keep Diener in Violence by Design, no. The way they're setting him up, it seems like by the time we get to Bound for Glory, he's got to split off and be on his own. Either he's going to be a heel or he's going to be a face. I don't care. He should split off by now because it should be Joe Dorling and Eric Young. I'm just saying. Now, Jessica is going to have a match next week. Let that sink in for a second. Look, Havoc is a gorgeous woman. She's beautiful. She's thick. But being that she's now imitating Susie, because that's what this is, instead of trying something different with Havoc, I knew they would try something similar to what they did with Susie, but she feels like pretty much a bite off of Susie, even though Taya Valkyrie is influencing her most of the time. This is where the problem is. Why didn't you just let Taya Valkyrie be teamed up with Jessica instead of Taya Valkyrie being teamed up with Rosemary? That would have been different. I'm hoping by the time of Bound for Glory, it's not going to work with Rosemary and Havoc. Well, Jessica. And Jessica's going like, I'm trying my best. And Rosemary's saying, I can't stand this. This is ridiculous. It's over. I can't do this. And then Taya says, you know what? Don't worry about it. Let me handle her now. You had your shot. You tried to get her right. Now it's my turn. Let her work with me. And now they do something with Jessica and Taya. It may actually be something interesting. That's what I'm hoping for. Let's move on. Now, let's go to, which kind of leads into this next match. We get Killer Kelly. And they're looking at a repeat of Killer Kelly last week. And, well, the week before last, before Emergence. And you see a little bit of Ziggy saying, oh, I like to have a little bit of that killer. And pretty much someone takes offense. She doesn't like that someone is more interesting than her, and that is the Bullwinkle. I can't even say it. Tasha Steelz. I may be part Spanish, but I can't speak or even have the accent of Spanish. I suck. But she's mad. She can't stand that someone's coming to a flavor division. And as that moment went on, and you see a little bit of a Ziggy getting a little cleaned up, you see the Portuguese powerhouse come out. I believe she's Portuguese. She comes up. She faces a little bit of the Tasha Steelz and the Savannah Evans. And she says, well, what's wrong? You have a problem with me? She's not saying it directly like this. I'm just saying, she says, no one comes in my division unless I like it and want it. And pretty much, Savannah Evans gets in her face. So she says, you know what? You watching me? Watch this match with your girl. And then you'll see what you're up against. So we get Savannah Evans versus Killer Kelly. Oh boy. Guys, I'm not against Killer Kelly. She looks like she can wrestle. She's doing an okay job. But you put her with Savannah Evans, who really does look like she needs to be retrained. Now, I'm not against Savannah. I truly believe that she could wrestle much better than what she's doing. She was in this match botchy and highly telegraphed. Guys, there was a point where she literally was, instead of running towards Killer Kelly, she stood there and she's going like this, waiting for her to get there. Now, most people would say, well, that's due to Killer Kelly not getting at her spot. But Killer Kelly was already at the other side of the ring, and she's in the middle of the ring, and she's going like this. By the time she's already doing her first step, that's not even halfway close enough to her. That looks bad. Look, one of the things that makes wrestling great is timing. A lot of women don't have great timing. They don't. Some do. Some have excellent timing, so they don't look like it's been telegraphed or choreographed. That's how it should be. Like with men, sometimes men do the same thing. They'll wait until the other guy gets into the spot. Women do the same thing. But what makes wrestlers great, no matter if it's the old school style or the current one, is timing. You must be at your spots in time. And if you're not at your spot, you've got to adapt and try to do something to make up for either your partner not being there in time or you not being there in time. But in this case, you see Savannah just taking a long time. It was like, oof. I'm telling you, I didn't like it. I didn't. It looked sloppy. In the end, Savannah taps out. Flat out. She taps out. And pretty much, Tasha Steelz is not happy. And Savannah's reaching her hand at the ring skirt, trying to reach for a Tasha. But Tasha's having nothing of it. She's staring at her next opponent. Now, here's the thing. Was this necessary? Yes. It's to set up Tasha Steelz to deal with a Killer Kelly. But could this have been on emergence? Yes. Could Killer Kelly been brought in earlier, have her match on regular Impact TV, if it was necessary, and then have a match at emergence, which could have been Savannah Evans? Yes. But, of course, we didn't get that. We didn't get it because we got one match well before emergence where she should have debuted. And if anybody says, why would you put a jobber with her where she's not more important?
Well, it's not about the damn jobber, man.
It's about Killer Kelly being spotlighted on a Impact Plus show that's closest to a pay-per-view. You're going to get a good gauge if you're in the company, if she makes sense in front of people who are at a semi-quasi pay-per-view. Because if you know she can do this, don't you think it would mean that she can do a real pay-per-view better? Do you think every single time you put them on regular TV it works? Come on. That is how they used to book back in the Attitude Era, which everyone compares what current wrestling is today. Attitude Era booking was that. It's not about how high-flying you were. It was about how you made the people want you. I'm just saying. Moving on. The best match of the night. Chris Bay versus Mike Bailey for the X Division title. I kind of wish they had more hype for this, but it is what it is. Wouldn't it have been great? The Fatal 4-Way would lead to a Mike Bailey who supposedly got now 6 wins, and the only person who's ever had wins that many times within his first run is Christopher Daniels. They should have set up the next set of meat for him. Nope. This was just a regular match that led nowhere. And that's the Fatal 4-Way that could have led easily to this. That could have set this up. Nope. The match was very good. The only thing I was very worried about was at the very end when you see Mike Bailey do the knees to the back. I don't know if I got that shot. If I do, it's in my face. When you see him literally land square on the back of a Chris Bay, and Chris Bay basically crumples. I'm hoping it didn't hurt his back too much. They know how to brace themselves enough and how to angle their descent onto one another so they don't hurt each other too badly. But it looked like it might have been a little too physical. Instead of it sliding off, I think he went straight a little bit too much. Chris might be fine, But it still worries me about the ultimate finesse, or as I call him, and still call him, the smooth criminal. Because he knows how to take your woman, take your money, take your house, and take your soul. That's just me. You tell me below. Finally, number one contender match. No, I take that back. Number one contender elimination tag match. We got 6 people in it. Eddie, Sammy, Moose, Bandino, I'm surprised he's there, and the Macklin and Rich Swann. We got all these guys there. They got to tag one another in. Only 2 guys can be in the ring at a time. Whoever's in the ring, you pin that person, they're eliminated. First one that got eliminated was Sammy by Moose. And that was due to the fact of interaction between Sammy, Moose, and DC Macklin. And then we got the line going down. Next person that got eliminated was Moose himself by Macklin. Then it was Macklin was next. Then he was done by Bandino. And then I don't remember who wait a minute. I don't remember who took out the next one. I think it was Eddie who took out Bandito. I don't think it was Rich. I think it was Eddie. And then it was Eddie and Rich. And they're the ones who finished up the match. And it was alright. Several pinfalls, but no wins. And in the end, it was Eddie who won. And now the entire group comes out, and they're putting the Eddie Edwards on the shoulder as the leader of Honor No More, and now it's set up for Bound for Glory, supposedly. Now, what I said earlier, finally something has happened. Or something happened finally. This is Eddie. Honestly, after 8 months, nearly 9 months actually, we finally get something that could be necessary and needed, particularly that they didn't go anywhere. Let me put this in basic perspective, guys. Alex Shelley should have won. This isn't if I like... I know there's a lot of people who hate Josh Alexander. More power to you. Fine. Just give me a good reason instead of always saying you don't like his clothes or he's a dick or something. That's stupid. But if you don't believe that he's the best person right now, fine. You can always debate with me. I have no problem. You give me a reason why, fairly. Most people have not, and that's the reason why I haven't seen him anymore. I guess either because I stopped talking to him, and I did notice a lot of messages were deleted from my comments. So they are probably tired of someone deleting it. Because remember, the algorithm can delete derogatory comments. Or I could. I don't like deleting messages. I just don't. But the point is, whether you like Josh or not, he would have been better pursuing the title again than keeping it. It's not the point if you think he can talk well, if he can wrestle well, if he looks good. It's not the point. At this point now, he spent almost a whole year, 6 months building up to when he wins the damn title, and then after that, it has been pretty much near a year now. He needs to drop the title to somebody else. It would have been good to have Alex Shelley win it because it would have been an entirely different dynamic. Someone that easily could outperform him when it comes to mat-based wrestling, where you can literally have a series, a best of 7 series where the title can go back and forth, or better yet, no title can go back and forth. You got to have a best of 7 where he has to win every match going up to the 7th match if he wants another title shot at Alex Shelley. You could set this up that this is all about mat-based wrestling with that story in mind. No. You let Josh win going into Bound for Glory, counting if he makes it there. And now you got Eddie Edwards, who is Honor No More's chief leader, where they've never won anything in more than, it's been longer than 9 months, guys. When they finally really formed Honor No More, they've been doing this 3 to 4 months beforehand. So it's been almost a year before that. So it's been a year and a half of Honor No More when they weren't Honor No More to what they are now. Well, I think it was about 3 months. Let me take that back. 2 or 3 months. So it's been almost a year beforehand when they were attacking everybody. And then Eddie joined them. And then we get all of this, they need to do something different for a while. Now, we know that many of them are going to be leaving, possibly at Bound for Glory. Many of them will be gone by Bound for Glory, possibly. We don't know when. Might be Bound for Glory, maybe before, maybe after. But the point is, I wish they'd done this sooner. They needed titles to make them feel legitimate. But since Impact Wrestling, in their great wisdom, does not, and I repeat again,
does not long-term sign people all the time.
Remember, Impact Wrestling is not much different than AEW. AEW hires people for 3 months, 6 months, a year, and multi-year deals. Impact does maybe 6 months, 3 months, and a year. That's it. I know they do also multi-year deals, but they haven't done that in quite a while. The only one they re-signed, supposedly, is Josh Alexander for another couple of years. At least another year or two. And Moose, for that matter. Of course, there's already people who already got long-term contracts like Eddie Edwards, who's been there for years. I'm sure his contract is probably going to expire soon, maybe next year. But the point is, they're not hiring people for long-term booking. And that's the problem here. We're going to go into Bound for Glory, where Eddie Edwards is going to go up against Josh Alexander for the Impact World title. And we have no idea how many people that is in Honor No More that's going to still stick around after or just before it. Long-term booking in Impact Wrestling is almost a joke. And yes, they did it with Eddie. Yes, they did it with Josh, who they signed for multi-year deals. But everyone else that's around them, we have barely any storylines. Barely anything. We got barely to no storyline for the X Division. Look what we got for the Digital Media Championship, almost nothing. Yeah, we got a little bit for the Knockouts, but not really any long-term stories for them either. Not even the Tag Division has long-term story booking at all. It's just matches and gimmick stuff in the back. It just feels like Impact does not understand what they're doing. Now, mind you, they don't book all the time bad, but still they're missing the boat. And I see it. And I'm still going to review it because look what just happened. This show, the production was not bad. The camera wasn't 100% trash. The audio didn't seem to be bad for the commentators. And the backstage segments seemed to be light enough you could see. The audio worked. That it shows they can get it done when they want to really get it done. So the question is, what's missing? What's the special seasoning they need to make sure they do it constantly? I'm just saying. Hope you enjoy this. Have a good day. Have a good night. I think I might do a SmackDown review and forego Rampage. I do not know. I'm thinking about it. But you'll find out tomorrow if I'm going to do a Rampage or SmackDown. Peace.